Hey, we're Allie and Josh, and we run the educational platform called the Fi Couple.
Each and every day, we show up to talk about real estate investing, personal finance, and debt payoff.
And today, we're super excited to be contributing to BiggerPockets Money to talk to you all about getting on the same financial page as your partner.
We're going to be sharing 5 actionable steps during this video that we've personally used to have better money conversations and be more in tune with your values. When we first started dating, money was not something we talked about. We both came from very different backgrounds, and as a result, our money values were radically different.
And I think in addition to this, our beliefs and our behaviors were very different. So it was really, really hard for us to make joint decisions and compromise related to money.
Growing up, I thought money was to be spent because you weren't sure when you were going to get it again. So as a result, I racked up a lot of debt in the form of credit card loans and student loans.
I feel like I kind of had a stronger financial foundation than Josh did. I at least understood the importance of saving and having that level of security. But beyond that, I didn't know how to budget. I knew nothing about investing, and I didn't really know how to effectively pay down debt. So I want you to imagine this. You have 2 different people from radically different upbringings, and then they fall in love, and you try to merge your worlds, and you try to merge your beliefs and your values and your views of money and personal finance. If you think it went smoothly, you're wrong. It was really bumpy, and it was not easy, and conversations regarding money were stressful, and they often led to fights.
And it was right about this time that we started having those conversations, and we realized we had about $100,000 of student loans, and we were both working jobs that were long hours, and we were both feeling really burnt out, and we knew we needed to do something different.
So this was about 3 years ago that all of this was taking place. And at the same time, knowing that we had to do something different, we started reading books about personal finance, listening to podcasts, talking to other people, listening to BiggerPockets. And we realized we needed to make some pretty big changes if we were going to live the life that we wanted to.
And despite earning very average incomes, but applying some above average creativity, we've managed to pay off over $70,000 of those student loans, buy multiple rental properties, and get ourselves on track for early financial freedom.
And I'm really proud of us. I mean, we've come a long way in the past 3 years, but it wasn't an accident. It's not a magic pill. We did not win the lottery, but it was really just through hard work, persistence, grit, and focus.
And even with all of that hard work, none of it would have been possible if we didn't first get on the same page and talk about our money values.
I think that before we got on the same page, we always use this term, it felt a little floppy. I felt like we were kind of on autopilot, just trying to figure it out, but not really having a mission. But once we were on the same page financially, it felt laser focused. We were both working hard and motivated towards a shared vision and shared goals. So today, we're super excited to share our 5 tips for getting on the same financial page with your partner.
Tip number 1, talk about your upbringing and talk about how that upbringing may have impacted your relationship with money.
Some follow-up questions for that could be, did your family view money from a scarcity perspective or an abundance perspective? So a scarcity perspective would be like, we get money, we don't know when it will come, and money is scarce, resources are scarce. An abundance mindset, which is a healthier mindset towards money, is that money comes, money goes, things are plentiful, we can work towards our goals, and it will all be okay.
Yeah, and so often the experiences that we have growing up around money and what's modeled for us does impact us in adulthood.
And that can either be a good thing or a bad thing, right? We could have very healthy relationships with money and our parents did and they modeled that. Or in our cases, maybe not so healthy relationships with money. And then it causes dysfunction in your adulthood. But that doesn't mean that all hope is lost, because we can always make changes and kind of rewire our brains to better understand creating that healthy relationship with money and how to do that. Tip number 2, I forget it.
Tip number 2, have the conversation about your values, meaning What are the things that are the most important to you?
So for us, 3 years ago, we did this exercise where we listed out our top three values, or the three things that we were most driven by and what meant the most to us in life, right? So I think when we did this, my top three values were family, health, and travel. And I think that you said, what did you
I
say?
think I said career, family, and travel.
They were different and we felt it. Josh, number one, valued his career and his company, and I valued spending time with family. So that was really hard because the values were different and we felt that friction. He was always wanting to work and I was always wanting to spend time with family. So when you do this exercise and you review them, a secondary question you can ask each other is, are lives aligned with the values that we just wrote down? So as an example, if health is a number one value for you, but you're eating fast food and you're not exercising and you're not taking time for self-care, you're not really living aligned with that value.
Tip number 3, identify what would be your perfect day and be specific. So this was an exercise we did 3 years ago, and we both wrote down what would be our perfect day and everything from where we were, what we were doing, and who we were with. Our goal was to figure out the life that we were living, especially with how we were managing our money. Was it giving us the ability to have that perfect day more often or not?
And I think even beyond perfect day, I want you to think like your perfect life, right? We have this life, we can create it and build it how we want it to be. So are you living the life that you want? If the answer is no, that's okay. There's no need to panic. We did this exercise and we were not living the life we wanted. Like, in fact, we were probably living pretty opposite the life that we wanted. But it was the reality check that we needed to make changes. No one is coming to make the changes for you. You have to do that. So if you do this exercise and it's not stacking up, it's an indicator you got to make some shifts.
And even if you're not living that lifestyle, again, that's totally fine. It at least gives you something now to work towards in terms of making the adjustments with the way you manage your money. Tip number 4 is make a plan. So the reason we start off talking about values and then get more specific about what your perfect day looks like is because it gives you something to work toward. It's almost like traveling, with a compass. It gives you an end destination that you can work backwards from.
So if you have this vision of what your perfect life is, we kind of talk about like you need to reverse engineer it. So what are the steps you need to take at the very beginning to get you to where you want to go? We know where our destination is. Now we need to create a plan to slowly get ourselves to that spot. And I think especially with making a plan, you want them to be little actionable steps. For us, we didn't have these massive milestone steps that totally shifted our life. It was tiny, consistent steps over time.
Tip number 5 is make sure you celebrate along the way. Success is a marathon, not a sprint. The path that we're on right now is many years in the making. It has not been easy. It's actually been quite difficult at many times. But along the way, we have had smaller victories, and we make sure to the best of our ability to celebrate those.
I think that celebrating tiny victories makes us feel motivated, excited. So celebrating those tiny victories just really helps us be appreciative and grounded in the moment of where we are, and helps us enjoy the journey and not just this end point that we'll get to eventually. So there you have it. Those are our top 5 tips for getting on the same financial page as your partner. And I definitely don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't think one conversation is going to radically change your relationship or make your visions aligned. It took years. It took crying, arguing, tears. It took a lot to get to where we are. And even where we are, we still have a hard time finding compromise. And it's not always easy. It is a constant evolution. Every day we wake up and we choose to continue towards our path and our goals. But if you felt like you got value from today's video and you do want to have these conversations with your partner, we created a downloadable PDF exclusively below. Download it, go through it with your partner, and we'd love to hear what you think of it.
And if you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have specific questions, leave them in the comment section below, and we'd be happy to answer those for you.